Howdy folks, this is Carl of Carl Reads. With all this AI nonsense, some people have suggested that I'm not real. I certainly feel real. But, well, just to put some people's minds at rest and to show that I'm actually a flesh and blood human, I'm going to do a live reading for you. Well, not technically live, since this is after all recording, but at least you can see me and, well, perceive my existence. So here we go. Story of a Curse by Doris Pitkin Buck. Read by Carl Wallace. But you cannot leave me. You swore, you swore, you swore. Melia was on the verge of tears as she clutched the child to her. The child's earth-bred father had never seen her weep, not even in the pains of labor. He patted her shoulder in what he meant to be kindliness. Melia consoled herself. Lord, you have taught me the legends of our planet. As the tie is almost as sacred as our child. I would not have listened to it had I not thought of you as my husband. Oh, come, come, he said. You were as eager in the Laudiac cave as I was. I never saw anybody freer. She knelt at his feet, their son on the bend of her arm. But Lord, had I been different, how could you have known our marriage would be fertile? Well, if that's the custom here, that's the custom. You'll find all kinds of customs as spaceships land from other planets. But you swore by our gods and by the gods of Earth to stay with me forever. Yet now you make ready to go. You meant nothing. Look, Madia, I meant every word while I said them. But a mood doesn't last forever. I never swore by the gods of Earth because we don't have any. My men and I are in tune with Earth, more than most. We think of her as our mother, not like a special goddess. We know she's matter, organic and inorganic. She'll draw us back because... He broke off. I can't explain, not to a savage. But my lord, in some way I must have failed you. No, you're a nice enough girl. Suddenly he looked at her quite seriously. That's what people, the elders, your family, that's what they'll think, that you failed me? She nodded in tears. She kissed his hand, the child's hand, which was like his, not hers. She clung to him, pleading mutely. I wish I could take you with me. I do wish it. But it's not possible. Everything on the ship is designed for 12 men. You kill my crew, breathing their air, eating their food. Oh, I don't have to go on. Even you can see. Lord, there isn't any use in this. I ought not to have come back for a goodbye. But you were somebody a bit special, and she had sprung to her feet, her hot tears turning to her anger. But why, father of my child, why? Because I'm from Earth, and everyone from Earth must change. It's that simple. She looked her bewilderment. But Melia, the crew and I, we aren't the same. Time brings changes. You can count on that. He began to speak uneasily because she frightened him. The way she echoed his words silently with her lips and made motions with her fingers. Change is part of our rhythm. Her mouth still moved. You let her have it. I'm fed up. Do you understand what I mean when I say I'm fed up? Tired of the fruits that are always ripe, and the lakes that are never chilly and never rough. Just for half an hour I'd like a breeze that isn't perfumed. My men feel the way I do. So we're on to the next planet, even though we know it won't be as lovely as our own changeful Earth. That's the way Earth is. That's the way we are. He spun on his heel. He did not even see her stare with altered eyes at the bastard while she mouthed what its father said. The spaceship from a planet covered with traces of an ice age, but now temperate. The shy girls were like Earth girls, except for the gold-green hair that had the perfume of drying hay. It pleased all the voyagers, especially their captain, who had memories to drown, but the changefulness in their Earth-nourished blood drove them on. They found planets that were flame and steam like Earth in his younger days. They found planets that were gutted tombs. Some worlds had nothing but plains and wild plain creatures which they caught and rode, till a longing for mountains such as the ranges of Earth drove them on once more. They sailed in archipelagos where the shores were green with forests, like tourmalines, and all the beaches were strewn with agate. But one green archipelago can be much like another. Remember that Earth had her Indies and her Arctic seas with islands that never grew warm? Do you remember the waves circled peaks of rock and bars of sand, some of one hue, some of another? Then the captain heard rumors. His men yearned for their mother, who was as fair as anything they had seen, but had many a fairness more. The screw sighed a little, for they knew the loss of time for voyagers were different from the loss of time on one rotating body. They were older than when they had left their system, but they were still strong men. On Earth, their sweethearts would be, they were not so sure. Dead, perhaps. No man could have everything, and they had wandered their fill. They came at last to their own system, where it was well to go more slowly. They passed dark Pluto and saw the sun as a faint point of light without warmth. They knew Saturn by its rings. On Jupiter, the red spot was larger and glowed more vividly. They thought they made out incandescent cliffs that might or may not have been there before. They could not be sure, for a massive atmosphere is full of tricks. The skirt of the asteroids and Mars. Earth greeted them, shining like a star. They sang as they came near their mother, who had formed them as they were. Had they been religious, they would have prayed. If I were a woman, the captain said, you'd see me in tears, but I am stronger than any woman. They answered that they all were. Each hour seemed unending while they disposed of the rations they would no longer need. Their instruments had grown decrepit, but soon they would have no use for them. From long practice they could make planet landing as sailors go through surf to a shore. The lenses of the instruments were fogged and all but useless. This made some angry, for they yearned to see the varied Earth, but the captain told them she would be all the more glorious once she burst on their sight, close at hand. They came down there tender, and the men groaned with disappointment, for they hovered over an inhospitable region of rocks and worn-down hills scarred with cracks and furrows. By the captain's reckoning, these hills should have been the snow peaks and forest slopes of the Himalayas. He frowned, and ordered their course set along a great circle. Presently one man said, "Where is the sea?" Slowly it came to them the oceans of the north were dry. Age was upon their mother's bodies. It must have been for many a year while they wandered. She hadn't a life-giving scarf of atmosphere. She was merely a desert of rock and dust, like her still circling moon. The captain cursed. Tears streamed down his cheeks, for he had counted on the unending cycles of his Earth mother. Sometimes he half remembered a different planet. But someone blocked him before he could hear a man say, "Time brings changes. You can count on that." The end. Well, I hope that puts to rest any lingering doubts, and I hope you enjoyed the story. See you next time.